As ready as you're going to be. That's what I keep getting. So welcome everybody. I wanted to introduce, we've got another great partner that we wanted to bring to you this morning. So in this COVID home confinement, I guess is social distancing, whatever you want to call it. I've got a couple of good friends that have been working with me closely really for the last 6 months, I would say, and are kind of a new rising star, I think, in the benefits world. And unfortunately, not everybody knows you exist. So I wanted to try and get kind of the message out. And what I love about it, I feel like we'll be able to talk about here for a few minutes. So I want to take, 5 or 10 minutes and just kind of share with the world who you guys are, where you fit, that kind of stuff. So I've got Francisco Garcia on here and then Kieran Pittman, both with a company called Benicomp Health Solutions. You can see the great team on the screen there. A lot of people would know one of the gentlemen there in the corner, Doug. I think that's a familiar face in the industry possibly, but you guys have a great culture. You're doing some great things. So let's talk a little bit about what, there's a lot of TPAs out there. So you want to help kind of jump in, or either one of you, whoever's best suited. What kind of TPA is Benicomp? Where do you guys focus?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think one of the things that you kind of alluded to is Benicomp Health Solutions right now is one of the best kept secrets, right? We've been around for, I think, 6 decades. We've been in the industry and have had our history behind us, but we really are a 57-year-old startup in the TPA world. So we consider ourselves a technology company that has built a tech-enabled software to run high-performance self-funded plans. And we've used our history and knowledge and success along the way, success and failures along the way, to really build a system that works and can empower employers to bring the best healthcare to their employees. So there are different types of TPAs. We come across TPAs that have been around forever, but their technology is somewhat of a challenge and a bottleneck to deliver innovative solutions. And then we also work alongside startups, that have really shiny technology and tons of funding and things like that. So we consider ourselves right in the middle of the old school and the new school and combining the best of both worlds. So
yeah, I think that's what struck me, is that a lot of what we try and do with our, I think you use the phrase high performance health plan. So like an employer built, very transparent. I know where all my data is going. I've got open networks so my employees can go where they want to go. We've got a really good handle of controlling costs. We make sure that our people are going to the right places. All of that stuff sounds great. But if you don't have the right TPA and the right solutions connecting it, or you're working with someone who doesn't have the technology necessary to make it work fluidly, you get frustrations with the employees, right? So it's critical to have that plugged in. So when you guys talked about the fact that you've been in the industry for so long and you kind of shut down and rebuilt, and it's very obvious to see when you walk into the office, the energy of the group and the people involved, including even your CEO, who's been around for a long time, has got a ton of energy and passion around helping in the healthcare space. So that's one of the pieces I love. So you've got a couple of neat tricks that you guys have up your sleeve that I don't think everybody's aware about or aware of. And so we wanted to get that message out. But what do you see in the current marketplace climate? I mean, obviously there's a lot of things have changed in the last 2 or 3 weeks, but how is that impacting you? Where do you guys see that employers are struggling?
Yeah, great question. So Francisco and I actually, over the last 3 weeks, we've been on over 57 webcasts like this with different advisors in the industry, employers, financial leaders, CEOs. And so we really just wanted to get in front of as many people as possible and take this opportunity to really do a needs assessment, and things have shifted. So it was time for us to get out in front of it and take the opportunity to figure out what are the new needs for groups out there and business leaders. So I've personally been so impressed with the companies that we've been talking to who have completely just been so resilient through this and taking this as an opportunity to put their foot on the gas, repurpose their business model in some cases, repurpose their value proposition, use funds to help the community. So we've seen a lot of that, which is really exciting. And then we're also seeing a major focus on the financials. So companies are actively looking at ways to free up cash flow, identify profit leak, and now is the best time to do that. You know, the financial leaders, the CEOs, they're at home just like us, and it gives them the opportunity to reflect and really figure out what they're doing in their business and how they can guard themselves against something like this in the future. Top of mind in every conversation is, how do we help our employees? How do we look out for the interests of our employees? And what steps can we take so that we don't have to furlough or lay off employees at this time? So, you know, a lot of the CFOs are saying healthcare, it's number two. It's a number two on the expense. And so it just makes all the sense to really open that up and pull up the curtain and see what they can do to fix that. So that's encouraging.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to overtalk there, but it never ceases to amaze me that we have so much insight on so many aspects of our business, but a lot of times, again, to your point, the number two expense, there's not a lot of awareness. I think we're just kind of trained that, well, costs are going up, it's expensive, right? COVID's now come in, so costs definitely are going to have to go through the roof. But that's not necessarily the case based on even some of the dialogue we've had with underwriters. So I think that's been pretty interesting. It's just, I don't know how you make good decisions about the numbers when you don't know entirely what the numbers are. It's just this big black box, right? So you guys help clients understand and diagnose where the money's going, and even somewhat control the cost too. So I know that's it's a critical component for a CFO or anybody in the C-suite right now, and even in HR, trying to figure out, who do we furlough, who do we not, can we avoid it entirely? I can feel some of the stress in HR directors' voices, just trying to figure out, how do I have the conversation with the employees that we do have to. The uncertainty right now has got a lot of people freaked out. So we want to try and bring as much certainty to that as we can by understanding what your numbers are, so you can communicate what you can and can't do. There still is a lot of unknown with healthcare costs, but some of that stuff's going to come to light, and being aware of what the bottom line behind the scenes numbers are going to give you a lot more control. So I think you guys do a great
100%.
job with that. How do you guys kind of empower advisors to create that high performance plan? Like what roles do you play where you think you guys stand out?
You know, I think it comes back to probably two major ideals. And the first is our technology, which serves as the ecosystem to a self-funded plan, and the strategy behind it and the intentional growth of this product was so that we can build for the future. And so when we set out to build this proprietary software, we developed it with open architecture because, you know, as you know, Dennis, I mean, there's shiny new objects in the cost containment world every other week. And there are companies that are innovating and being transparent and showing great ROI. So we would never want to miss out on the opportunity to work with truly the best in class. And so our technology has been built so that we can put together a plan that helps the advisors position themselves, and as you say, Dennis, gives them an unfair advantage in the marketplace.
Sure.
And we hear it all the time from advisors that they have these amazing ideas. They've done the due diligence. They understand the needs of the client, but when they go to implement such a strategy, the wheels fall off. It doesn't work. So I would say our technology is just there to position your vision and make it work. And then the second part that I think really is shows as a resource is that we really just seek to understand the needs. We don't want to sell. We don't want to, sell you something, or we work with a cultivated group of individuals who are like-minded. They want to change the face of healthcare, and we spend all of our time and resources on helping those individuals. We don't want to work with everybody. We want to work with the people who are going to make a difference. And so we spend a lot of our upfront work really seeking to understand and be a true resource to the advisors that we work with.
That's great. Now, you guys have been a huge help, obviously, for me, and a great partner, which is I've had advisors reach out to me and say, hey, are you working with Benicomp? What's your experience been like? And I can use this as a way to blast and maybe minimize some of those calls, but I'm happy to kind of share insight. But ultimately, both of you guys have been invaluable, and you've allowed me to plug in the components that I want. I've been able to ask you for advice on certain components. How does this work? What are you seeing? You've been able to share with me what other advisors are seeing in other parts of the country. And, we know there are shiny objects that pop up. And if you're not vetting them out appropriately, that can blow up in your face. And I think the biggest risk to some of the tools that we put in for the highest, most efficient health plans is just the fact that if they don't work correctly, that employers and employees get frustrated, and that becomes the messaging. And that's unfortunate when people are plugging in the wrong tools. So there's a lot of people working to make sure that it works correctly, but you guys have a lot of that insight and can help new advisors and veteran advisors figure it out. So you guys have been really, really helpful to me, and we've learned a little bit along the way, but ultimately I think it's been a great partnership. So I love that. So with that said, I'd love to jump into just real quick. Do you want to share anything on Incenticare? I love that concept. It's one piece that I've done variations of it in my career in the past, but do you mind sharing a little bit about that, just to kind of give people some ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is where our whole team, you can see us on the screen, but our team is why we have a good culture, is because we feel so strongly about really digging deeper into the health plan and being able to not just affect the cost of claims. I mean, that's a huge piece. Don't get me wrong. Cost containment is the way that we can help free up cash flow and put companies in a better position. But Incenticare is a product that we built years ago, and Doug Short, you mentioned Doug Short. He's our, we call him the legend. He's a textbook visionary through and through. He sees the future, and we just built his vision. But Incenticare is the way to target the root cause of claims. And it all starts with an incentivizing plan design so that we can engage the right people. So Francisco, do you want to hit the incentivized plan? Okay, perfect. So with Incenticare, the way it starts is we actually tie the deductible to the results in a health screening for the employees. A lot of employers are faced with, cost shifting and raising deductibles and giving all of those costs to the employees. And that's just not a sustainable way to live. It doesn't make employees happy. And especially now, it's just not going to be working for the future. And so what we do is we take a plan with a high deductible or moderate deductible, and we give employees the opportunity to earn maybe all the way down from a $5,000 to a $1,000 deductible. And it's all based on their lifestyle and what they do. So they have complete control over their financial deductible. We base it on 5 biomarkers, actually 6 now, we recently added one, but and they're shown on the screen, but you can earn down to a $1,000 deductible based on your results. And so the idea is when we incentivize with thousands of dollars through the deductible, we're able to get the data that we need in order to be actionable and truly help people and see things that are underneath the surface. You really have a sustainable plan in place where you're targeting the cost, which is an immediate ROI, you are negotiating costs, all of those things. And now we have the way to integrate the health and the root cause of these claims so that eventually we can have those run out and get those out of the claims data. From a clinical perspective, we're really moving the line from, there's always been this line in the sand where people start to look at chronic disease and it's after the trigger. So it's once the claim happens, then we start taking action. What we're looking to do is move that line further up into the timeline and really create a new category, which is the pre-disease category. And we can hone in on the people that nobody else has access to because we get to see all of this data. And now we have an engaged employee population where we're working on reversing health risks, which is better for the plan for years to come.
So I think it's very relevant, right? So when you have clients that maybe are thinking about going self-funding and they don't know what the actual health conditions are in their group, maybe they can't get data. This blood work gives a pretty good picture, right? We've utilized it for that. We really have, I love the fact that it's got the flexibility. It's actually a filed insurance product. So I think that's important that for people to understand that component. It goes way beyond, it's not an idealistic type of wellness strategy. It's actually a strategy to understand what is going on from a health standpoint, which I really love. The mindset piece that we've added, I think that's a little bit of the collaboration where we've come together is, we see, I saw in the news this morning that crisis center calls are up 900%. So we know mental health was an issue and emotional support, all these issues are coming into play. You guys are helping specifically with the school district, which I think is going to be important with this component. They want to try and get their hands around how they can help their people remove some of the stigma and get them access to care. So the mindset component, I think, is really, really critical. There's a lot of people looking for how do we tackle mental health in a functional way that's actually effective. I actually saw a slide this week, I believe from Health Rosetta, that just talks about the actual costs of things that are somewhat self-inflicted, and those all start in the mind, obesity and addictions and different, heart conditions. If we can get them tackled in the mind first, I think there's a huge upside there. So I love the fact that you guys have integrated that in, and that's something that could be plugged in, I think, in a lot of places. So it's very forward thinking. I think it's the other statistic I think that's really important is the fact that I think you shared with me that if you ask someone if they use tobacco, it's like a 6% response rate. If you pull their blood work, you're going to find out it's 25%. So I thought that was very eye-opening as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're exactly right. So with mental health, it's so integrated with physical health. And so a lot, I feel like one day we're going to look at all this data and we're going to say, holy cow, if we just focused on mindset and lifestyle and things that are completely in our control, what could we have done? And the news and looking at COVID-19, I can't help but think of it as a parallel. You're hearing that the number one thing that is suppressing the curve or flattening the curve for COVID is something that we just do in lifestyle. It's a tweak, it's an adjustment, and it saves lives. It's so powerful, it's so significant. And that's what we're asking people to do. We're asking people to take an active role and to do things differently for their health and their future. And it doesn't seem like it's a lot, or, it doesn't seem like it could have that big of an impact. But when you're working with our clinical team and we can see exactly what's going on beneath the surface, we can really start to help make really defined behavior modifications that will have a major impact on your current health, your future health, your spouse's health, your productivity at work. You know, it reduces absenteeism. So there's so many downstream effects, and it all starts with just something that you are in complete control over, which is your lifestyle.
One thing that I want to add to Kieran's point is the behavior modification and the way this is structured. It really does speak to the changing dynamic of the workforce, and by that I mean is we find ourselves in a workforce that goes across 5 different generations, right? And with each generation, there's difference in the way that people access healthcare and in the way that they use healthcare. But when we implement the system, we see that 96% of people participate, which means that all those 5 generations are coming into play. So we can really work with the different wants and needs of the workforces that we're working with.
That's awesome. It's got such a huge upside on the preventative angle. You know, we know that if we can catch somebody in pre-diabetes, the savings for that health plan can be really significant, but it might save that person's life. So I love the preventative approach. So all 6 components speak to that exactly. So I just want to make sure we cover any other important points. So what else do you feel like we need to tell the community today?
It's a really good time to take a look at what you've always done. We're seeing businesses completely redefine themselves. It's an amazing time to just really look at that fully insured plan and is this the best thing that you can offer to your employees? And I think that if employers want to gain back more control, more data, make better decisions, give a more valued product to their employees, now's the best time to really take an active look. And we're here, you know, to help and coach through as best we can and get them to a good spot.
All right, Francisco, as one of the official rising stars in the industry, technically awarded that this year. Is there anything else that you feel like you need to share about what you guys are doing?
People don't understand how to use their benefits, right? So how can we cross that gap in a way by utilizing technology to really simplify and streamline, right? That's how we go back to smart plan design and making the smart decision the easy decision for people to take control of their health. And that's what we aim to do, and that's how we aim to empower advisors.
That's perfect. So make it easy to do the right thing and a little bit harder to do the wrong thing. I think that's, and you guys have got some science behind the incentive numbers. I know for our latest client, they're going from what, $5,000 down to $2,000 deductible. Right. With the expectation that maybe next year we can give them the option to get all the way down to 0. Attracting and retaining the right talent, I think, is still going to be important for any business. Thank you guys so much for your time, your energy. If they wanted to reach out and connect with you guys, pull up your contact information there. So Kieran Pittman and Francisco Garcia, both great resources. Great to just call and ask a few questions. If you haven't reached out to them, I would certainly encourage it. For my clients, we are trying to show this as an opportunity because I do think there's a lot of there's a million things that we didn't cover today, so there's plenty more to talk about. And it may not be a fit for every single buddy, but I'm finding it's more and more people want transparency. They want to understand what's happening with their health plan. They want to lower costs. They want to take great care of their people. So when the day comes that we look past some of this, you know, I find, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, there's never a too soon to at least start the dialogue. Whether you pull the trigger today or tomorrow is another conversation, but this is not necessarily something you want to pull the trigger in the first, you know, if the effective date's 20 or 30 days out, that's not the time to start the conversation. So
yeah, I agree for sure.
Anything else?
Dennis, thank you so much. Thank you for having us and spending time with us. We really appreciate it. It's been so much fun getting to work with you. So thank you again.